Hi and welcome to Backstage at Architects Insight 2010, and it's a fantastic pleasure to have with me Kim Cameron, the Chief Identity Architect at Microsoft. So Kim, we've just I just heard your keynote session at Insight, and as always, exciting and interesting talk. The first thing that I felt was really significant, and I always have thought this, but I felt you said it extremely well, is that if you're thinking about cloud computing, you can't move to cloud without this next generation identity mechanism or framework or have you will. So I guess it'd be good to know what do we mean by that, and that's sort of perhaps the story of how did we get to this point and where are we moving to next?
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess, when I talk about the last generation of identity, let's start there.
Okay.
What I mean is identity that stops at the edge of a domain. So it works inside a closed boundary, and that's the end of it. Now, if all of your computing resources are local, they can be inside that closed boundary. Mm-hmm. But as we move into a world and a computing environment where we want to take advantage of services and resources that can be anywhere we want in the cloud, they're no longer inside our domain. We don't own and control all aspects of those resources. They're hosting services that are in the cloud. Mm. And so we need an identity that can reach beyond the edge of our own little domain.
Yes.
And so how do you do that? Well, it's trying to solve that problem that we came up with the idea of federation and what we call the identity metasystem. And so that's about making claims that can be understood anywhere, not only inside your domain, but outside the domain. And so the cloud now, the cloud properties and the cloud services could take the claims that are coming out of your enterprise, say, and understand those even though they're up in the cloud. So that's what I mean by next generation.
Yeah. And so by that, they need to be interoperable. They need to, whatever I'm deciding to share my claims, you need to be able to either understand my language, or we need to have some way to translate those so that...
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to be in a situation where each cloud provider has a different way of connecting up to us as a client, because the complexity will be endless and the friction to getting involved in the cloud will be very high. So what we want is to have standardized ways that everyone can use and that are really made convenient and automated and simple, zero cost, in order to be able to make identity work across that cloud enterprise boundary.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that this metasystem, this description, or this way of transferring those claims, going back to the laws of identity that you coined some time back, still amazingly important, because hearing Dave Copeland this morning talking about open data in government, they were pretty much talking about the metasystem in terms of ensuring that the user is in control of the data that they're sharing. He used Health Vault as an example, and I know the word, and I know it's a Microsoft product, but I've not necessarily kind of delved into it in detail. So it was really interesting to hear. Fundamentally, that's a storage of claims about your own, health information, and then you can share that with whomever at a level of granularity that you choose. So it was really interesting to see the laws being used in that context. Is that something you've been party to directly, or is that?
Well, I don't like to take too much credit for the laws. The laws were just true things that I wrote down in collaboration with a lot of other people. So for example, the fact that things have to be that the user has to have control over their own information, and you can't have parties to it who don't belong there and all those things. Anybody who breaks those laws goes down and will have an unsuccessful venture, in my view. And so I think the laws are objective things that hold as being true. They're not just principles of, it would be nice if we did this. I think they're things that if you disobey them, you get punished for because you're not respecting the physics, the digital physics that require putting users in control of things. If users aren't in control of things, they won't use things. And then you failed by definition. So, yeah. But on the other hand, you know, on a good day, I like to feel that, you know, my stuff might have been read.